This portion of This Week in Agribusiness is brought to you by Firestone Ag. The Firestone Ag Dealer Network offers you the support, inventory, and resources you need. Visit firestoneag.com to find your local certified dealer. Now it's time to talk markets. Joining us this week is Chris Robinson of Robinson Ag Marketing. And Chris, you work with growers across the country. Any harvest progress to report as of yet?
Guys are actually getting going. We'll see. The nice thing about social media, the double-edged sword, we'll start hearing about it sooner or later. There's a big argument out there amongst guys that this late heat, really hurt yields. The USDA did not deliver on that last report with a big yield drop. And we'll have to see. And that's going to be that 10%. 10% is a lot on a 15 billion bushel crop. So we'll see. And, we're going to have to wait and find out. Hopefully for farmers, especially if you're unhedged or didn't sell anything north of $6, you're going to want to hope that the yields are lower and that we actually had a drop in yield, because that's the one thing that can help us recover as we sit on these two-year lows.
We're on two-year lows. The market isn't expecting a bigger crop, apparently, watching these futures markets, Chris, but we're also seeing ethanol production come down. With this rise in oil prices, I would have assumed we'd see more crush for ethanol, but it's not happening yet, is it?
It's kind of a lagging indicator. I think the one thing that guys forget is the ethanol plants, they operate on margin. And if the margins they're there. The latest data we got was kind of surprising that it was lower, but you've seen a little bit of a drop off in demand for gasoline in general. So I think that's kind of all interrelated. At the end of the day, I think if we stay north of $90 a barrel, that's going to be supportive. I wrote in the letter the other day that I think that if we weren't at 90, if we were back at 60, because in May we were at $64. People forget that we were at an 18-month low. If we were sub 60, I think you'd see corn, under 450, sadly, because it's such a direct, it's an easy way for people to say, oh my goodness, we need to hedge crude oil.
Chris, with this crude oil rally, and as you mentioned, we've seen $30 move here in the price of crude in the past 4 months. Should producers be hedging for that as we look forward into 2024?
As far as your inputs go, we had a long time to get, diesel oil was at 18-month lows. We had a pretty good window to hedge. So, barring, having a time machine and going back and do something, I think now it's kind of like you play defense. How do you play defense? Well, lock in what you need. If you're worried about crude oil going north about $100 and staying there, then the only way that you can do that is to either have call options on something where they're cheap now, but if the market does blow up, the gain in those options will help you pay for the fuel that you're going to need. But I would look back and say everybody knew that there was a pretty good chance there to do some hedging when the prices were cheap. And, we're heading into the winter. We'll see what happens with natural gas. Natural gas was, sitting on its lows. So we'll see. I think a lot of this depends on what happens with the whole rest of the world economy, too. But at the end of the day, if I'm a producer, even at these levels, I think it makes sense to do some hedging or go ahead and buy forward some physical product.
Makes sense. Chris, let's turn to the wheat market real quick. We've seen that market lose nearly $2 here in the past 3 months. Is the downside slide almost done in Chicago wheat?
We'll have to wait and see. The wheat was the most disappointing market. We had all kind of fundamental news out there. Every weekend we went home, we were worried what's going to happen in Ukraine, what's going to happen. Every rally was one to sell. It was something I think that we'll be talking about probably 5-10 years from now, probably in ag econ classes. Why didn't wheat do this? We were all promised 2.5 years ago, we were promised by the UN that we only had 6 weeks left worth of wheat. Well, at the end of the day, price discovery is price discovery. And the odd thing is that when we did get these dollar rallies, and we had chances, if you didn't reward them, if you didn't hedge them then, they dropped so quickly. Just back, 6.5 weeks ago, we were $2 higher. And that, I think, was that last little blip in May, July, caught a lot of people off. People like, okay, this is it, we're going. But producers, if you look at the big picture historically, what you don't want to do is lose another $1 or $1.50. So things are not good. We're at 2-year lows, just like corn. This is the time where I don't think you want to get aggressive making cash sales. I think that you want to be hedged and kind of wait and see, especially if you're going to put stuff in the bin. Keep a cheap put under it.
All right. We'll have more to come with Chris Robinson of Robinson Ag Marketing.